fake asylum seekers are reportedly going back home for their holidays. Asylum accommodation whistleblowers have revealed that 3 teenage asylum seekers from Iran who claimed that they had to flee because of persecution went back home to see their family and even did a spot of water sports while they were there. They also wanted to go back home to celebrate Eid. Well, I mean, you don't have to go anywhere for that, do you? They could just do it at Bradford Mosque.
Eid al-Fitr is a celebration that comes at the end of the month of Ramadan, and it's known as breaking of the fast. And this year, the Bradford Central Mosque are hosting something really special.
Or turned on BBC One and they would have live-streamed the whole thing for you. They could also have just made their way to the capital.
It is wonderful to be in Trafalgar Square celebrating Eid on the square, celebrating Eid al-Fitr with so many thousands of people. The wonderful thing about London is we celebrate our diversity. We see diversity as a strength, not a weakness.
Gosh, if you gave Sadiq Khan £1 for every time he said that diversity is our strength, I wonder how rich he'd be. But anyway, the whistleblower is a man called Darren Jennings, who worked for an asylum accommodation company. Now, he claims that one Iranian man went home for a whole 2 months. Then another asylum seeker told him that he planned to go back to Iran, having heard about the first chap. The whole thing was allegedly being funded by another asylum seeker in Britain. I mean, the killer quote from Mr. Jennings is this: if you're saying that you've left the country because it's unsafe and then you're choosing to travel back there, it doesn't make sense. Well, I do hate to disagree with Mr. Jennings here, but I think it actually makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense if you are willing to take the view that Britain is being invaded by a significant number of totally fake asylum seekers who make up false claims to come to Britain for the free housing, free healthcare, free education, free mobile phones, in some cases, free driving lessons. In fact, really, it's free everything, isn't it? And this is not an isolated incident. 2 years ago, Border Force revealed that asylum seekers were caught at an airport going home for Christmas. The quote from a Border Force official was, "We do find a lot of people who've claimed asylum in this country and are heading back to their own country for holidays," which obviously isn't allowed. Well, I think we should allow it. We just shouldn't allow them to come back again. So when people shout, "Go back to where you came from," to an asylum seeker, they're often called racist. But it turns out that some asylum seekers probably just think you're a travel agent. This is happening everywhere. Afghan asylum seekers in Germany were going on secret holidays back to the Taliban-run nation. Germany wants to strip them of their asylum status. In Sweden, they are stripping asylum seekers of their status if they holiday back home. But what do we think will happen here in Britain? Probably nothing. As has been pointed out, the Home Secretary does have the power to do this through the Nationality and Borders Act of 2022. So why aren't they doing it? This is a massive slap in the face to you, me, everyone we know, British taxpayers. You pay for these fake asylum seekers to live the life of Riley while your cost of living goes through the roof. And then it turns out some of them have been going home for a jolly up all along. Let's get thoughts on my panel. We've got Daily Express columnist Carol Malone. We've also got former MP and chairman of the Tory party, Sir Jake Berry, and former Labour Party advisor, Matthew Larzer. Carol, this is a huge slap in the face for British taxpayers. Asylum seekers are going home for their holidays.
Yeah, it just confirms what we've always known, that a vast number of people coming here and claiming asylum are economic refugees and not asylum seekers. And, you know, you touched on it before, it really is a massive slap in the face. This country has a proud history of looking after people who are fleeing war and persecution. And this is really taking the British people for mugs. It is beyond appalling. If those people, we know who these young people are who went away and came back, so they should be deported immediately. The law here is quite clear. It says if you go back to your country of origin, it could lead to the withdrawal of your refugee status, because it means you no longer need our protection, which means you don't need our benefits, you don't need our houses, you don't need our healthcare. So now that we know that this is happening, we ought to send the people back that we know who are doing it. But we won't. And you said it just there. It will never happen in this country. So the British people are being taken for mugs. We've known it for a very long time. And it's just, you know, if you can go home for your holidays, you can stay there forever.
Yeah, 2 months is the case that one of the people. One guy sent videos of himself doing water sports to the asylum accommodation people, just saying, you know, here I was having a great time back in Iran. But I mean, Jake, this is ridiculous. It was so bad in Iran for these poor men who had to flee persecution that they've gone back there for Eid.
Yeah, I mean, look, this really confirms what so many of GB News viewers think about the asylum system. It is just being played, and unfortunately, here in Britain, we are being played for mugs. The first thing is, there's virtually no asylum seekers genuinely in the UK because there's no such thing as an asylum seeker from France. The thing about asylum is you're meant to claim asylum in the first country you arrive in. No problem with France. It's a perfectly nice place. Lots of Brits go there on holiday.
Yes.
Why are these people even in the UK at all? And then to have a situation where the Home Office issues them travel documents but allows them to return, so it issues them travel documents to go there and then allows them back to go on holiday in this supposedly worn, torn, dangerous country where they're going to be persecuted and murdered. It is absolutely absurd. And as you say, the Home Secretary's got the power to do something about this. We passed this through Parliament in 2022 when I was in government. Use it.
Well, the thing is, this took a whistleblower from an asylum accommodation centre to do it. I guarantee you this is happening right across the country. What's the Home Secretary going to do about it, Matthew?
Well, what she should do about it is use the powers, as Jake said. There's going to be a bit of a consensus here and stop this now, not least because it does bring into disrepute the entire asylum system and it absolutely and totally undermines support for... I mean, Jake, you say that if people have come from France, but we do actually have safe routes for about 80,000 people a year who can come directly from country. And so
hang on a minute, sorry, so we do, because we hear a lot, don't we, about how there's no safe and legal routes.
Well, the problem that the charity says there aren't enough, that there's a cap on it, and the cap's too low, in their opinion.
But who was paying for these so-called asylum seekers to go back to Iran? Now, this is really interesting for me because they said they got the money from another asylum seeker.
Do we think it was from the goodness of his heart, Carol?
No.
Or do we think he might have had a motive?
Do you think he might be lying about it and working as Deliveroo driver?
Or doing something much, much worse than that, actually. So they're earning black market money. And the thing is, when this place where they were staying, this home where they were staying, was alerted to it, they just brushed it to one side. So everyone's getting paid and they don't actually care about the rules or the laws. The only people that care are people like us who are actually paying for all of this.
I mean, it is. I mean, I think we can all agree it's absolutely... The most astounding part of this story is to find that, as far as we know, they were issued with travel documents by the Home Office who themselves are processing the system. It just makes the system a complete laughingstock. And it's right that Germany and Sweden have said, if you want to go home, that's fine, but you're obviously not in immediate danger if you're popping back on holiday.
British people, you know, for too long, ordinary, hard-working Brits, and even, you know, anyone, it doesn't really matter if you're hard-working, you might be retired, I don't care, have been looking at these boatloads of mostly men coming across the channel saying you are not an asylum seeker or a refugee, you are on the take. You are here to con us all out of free accommodation, free education, free healthcare, free absolutely everything. And then you end up with a load of lovely lefties going, oh my gosh, you're so horrible and racist.
Well, this guy, the guy who whistle blew on this actually said he was called a racist by other people.
He ended up leaving his job.
It's true.
He ended up leaving his job. What this is... And actually, it would be so easy to sit here and blame the Labour Party. I'm actually sure this probably happened under the Conservative government as well.
Yes, I'm sure.
But this does speak to the absolute incompetence of the British Home Office. They have a massive backlog of asylum claims when they should just have a big stamp that goes, no, send them all off.
But Jake, this is easy. This is easy to fix.
Absolute incompetence.
We know who these people are. We've got their names, got the documents, send them back.
Why don't we just, I tell you what we should do, why don't we just offer every single person who's in an asylum hotel now a free trip back home?
Yes.
And if they take it, then they can go and they never come back. Matthew.
Well, I mean, you know,
that's what the Labour Party's doing, isn't it? That's how they've got these 24,000 people they claim they've deported. Most of them are volunteers.
They have removed more people. Well, I mean, people are leaving, even if they're volunteers. But just to go back to this, I think one of the issues is they were under 18 allegedly, so therefore, I suspect they were in fear of the courts. It says something about our courts, that our courts, you know, the sort of fear of what our courts might do is holding the authorities, as it were, back.
I'm not saying it's good. No, if they're old enough,
months.
Keir Starmer heads the government. He's got a massive
Absolutely.
majority.
My opening words were...
Change the law.
Yeah, yeah.
Change the law. Protect Britain. Protect
do what
British
Sweden are doing.
residents,
Do what
change the law.
Germany are doing. We agree.
I mean,
do what
Sweden is
Sweden are
not
doing. Do
a
what
bastion
Germany
of
are doing.
right-wing
But
politics, is it?
yet again, British taxpayers are seeing, they already
Treated for mugs.
they already know in their heart of hearts that that hotel full of asylum seekers at the end of their road is probably full of people who are conning the system and are economic migrants at the end of the day. And now they see some of them, oh, where they've gone, it's quieter here than usual. Oh, they've just nipped back home for a holiday.
Yeah.
And then they come back again. Look, the solution for me is this, I've said it before, say it again, offer every single asylum seeker in this country the opportunity to go back home for a quick holiday. If they say yes to it, then you go, all right, you can't be that genuine, we'll pay for you to go back, and then deny them re-entry into the UK. Get them off the taxpayers' bill. But anyway, there we go. A lively start, slightly punctuated there, of course, by the President of the United States and the leader of Israel.